in his big rally, Donald Trump addressed those who are still behind bars right now for what happened on January 6th. He had this to say.
People have been asking me about it. If I run and if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly. This hasn't happened to all of the other atrocities that took place recently. Nothing like this has happened. What that unselect committee is doing and what the people are doing that are running those prisons, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
Okay, so I think that quote is one of the more consequential ones for a couple of different reasons. The first is that actually I would say three. So one, he seems to be admitting that those people are on his side. I mean, the fact that he's going to actually help them. Again, I thought it was Antifa. It's weird how that changes all the time. Two is that, look, they theoretically could still help with the investigation. They could flip, they could provide information. He's telling them, as he did when his inner ring of cronies is being investigated throughout with Manafort and with Stone and all that. Don't flip. I'm going to come back into office and I'm going to pardon you, whether he actually will or not, because he could have done that, conceivably before he left office. He chose not to. And he's also reassuring them that if you do stuff like this in the future, all it takes is Marjorie Greene making a big issue out of it, and I might come and save you too. So don't worry about the acts of violence and vandalism and all that the anti-democratic violence, all that. Just do it, and I'll help you out. That's a great message, I think, to send to a country that's already is riven by political partisanship and political violence as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what is to come of the January 6th investigation, but I do know that there will be lawsuits. There will be lawsuits, and I know there are currently Capitol police officers that have been filing lawsuits against Donald Trump himself. And so if you are embroiled in lawsuits over whether or not you incited a mob on January 6th, whether or not they were indeed your supporters, of course we all know that's exactly what he did. Mm-hmm. But he's obviously going to claim, or his lawyers will claim, that he did not. This doesn't bode well for them. Anyone who's trying to help Trump avoid any kind of accountability, him going back on the so-called campaign trail, with 3Ks, and talking about how he will vindicate and he will absolve and he will pardon anyone involved with January 6th because they're being treated unfairly. Like, ooh, does not look good. If I were your lawyer, I'd be like, shh. Just stay at the Mar-a-Lago buffet. Look, it's got all the things you like. Gross eggs, more gross eggs, gross melon. You know what I mean?
I sort of know what you mean. I've been to hotels like that. Yeah, and look, I'm getting the sort of the temperature of our chat, and I think that they largely agree that like the issue with it isn't that, oh no, he is going to do this. I mean, maybe he will, but probably not. Like, he could have pardoned them already. He chose not to. It is like they're saying, I'll pay for your lawyer's bill. It's not whether or not he's actually going to do it. It is just more and more encouragement to lawlessness. My issue with someone like sort of breaking down the doors of the Capitol and then trying to bash in the skull of a Capitol guard isn't that they might go free fundamentally. It's that they did it in the first place, that they felt this is now a legitimate act in our political system. Sometimes you can register voters, and sometimes you can vote, and sometimes you can try to kill people with a Trump flag. And he is expanding the bounds of what millions and millions of Americans consider to be normal, regardless of whether he means any of it. That is really my fear.
And to say nothing just briefly of like people like Tucker Carlson, who also don't give a rat's ass about the people who like went on January 6th to storm the Capitol, meaning he like lifted up some random dude and was like, hey, maybe that guy's FBI. Hey, let's put his picture all over my show. This guy's FBI. Guy comes out and is like, I'm not FBI. What are you talking about? Stop blaming, like I'm just a Trump supporter. Like this, they don't care. They will use you as a foil. And I mean, look at how Fox and Trump have treated COVID. You are a dirty rag to them. Yeah. They will use you for what they need you and they'll throw you out.
Well, yeah, and I think you might be alluding to this, but we talked about on the Bitchuation Room yesterday, the cop who resigned because of the vaccine mandates, and he went viral as like a conservative thing for 8 minutes. And he just died from COVID. And I maybe there have been Tucker Carlson tweets about it, and maybe Jesse Waters is doing odes to him on Fox Nation, and maybe not. Maybe none of that is happening because they didn't actually care about him as a human. They don't care about how his family is now going to grieve the lost father, and his friends won't be able to spend any more time with him. He was useful when he was doing the thing they want publicly, and as soon as he suffered the natural consequences, they don't care. They're just moving on. And unfortunately, like in this case with him encouraging, like basically committing obstruction of justice in public, saying, don't cooperate with the feds, I'm gonna pardon you, and encouraging more people to do it. You've got like a little bit of mealy-mouthed opposition, which I guess is more than we normally get coming from the right to what he's saying. It's not gonna mean anything, but here's what that looks like. Take a look at Lindsey Graham.
I don't want to send any signal that it was okay to defile their capital. There are other groups with causes that may want to go down the violent path if these people get pardoned.
But isn't that a dangerous thing to say?
Harris, yeah, well, I think it's inappropriate. I don't want to reinforce that defiling the Capitol was okay. I don't want to do anything that would make this more likely in the future.
He then goes on to both sides and implies that like Joe Biden is encouraging Antifa to destroy America or whatever. But like he pretended there, Francesca, that he cares about what Trump is saying. So is he gonna turn against him fundamentally? Is he gonna vote to convict? He's not gonna do any of these things. It's so pointless. He's not gonna do anything.
I just don't know what Republicans' end game is. Like I really do want them, like every single interview with someone like Lindsey Graham is, hey, what's your end game? Like what kind of, like how do you envision America? You know what I mean? And if it's we normalize political violence, we take away the vote for Black and brown people and any immigrants, of course. You don't know where their loyalties lie, and I rule in a giant top hat like Mr. Peanut with like a little cane. Like and I'm like, oh, okay, tight. Like we understand, because you keep investing in this Trojan horse of fascism, which is Donald Trump. So do you? I guess you just like corporate run fascism. Like, or is that? Can we just clarify so we can stop doing this dog and pony show?
Yeah, I mean, and look, again, briefly, I try not to go on about this every single day, but I generally do. This is, again, we're not on a level battlefield in terms of like the left or the right, or I would even say like corporate fascists versus everyone else. We're not. We wake up and we look at how can we win on these issues? Whatever, climate change, reproductive rights, trans people not being demonized literally every second of every day, everywhere that you turn. Because the consequences, the stakes of not winning are significant. The status quo sucks, we need to change it. So we have to win, because if we don't, things are bad. They don't have to win on anything. They just have to run out the clock. They're fat and happy, they're rich, they're doing great right now. They just want to continue like that. And honestly, even if we won, they'd still be rich beyond our wildest imaginations. All of this is just a show. It's a carnival to distract their base, to stop their base from ever pushing for anything that could theoretically hurt them economically. That's all it is. It's not the same thing. Lindsey Graham doesn't have issues that are like just burning in his gut. We've got to win. He's not, he's rich. Everyone he knows is rich. Everyone he will talk to for the rest of his life is rich. He's living a life in succession, basically. That's what it is, which we'll be talking about later on today. In any event, by the way, even Graham, even for his little commentary there, is getting attacked by people like Marjorie Greene. I'm not reading the quotes. I'm not starting off this week that way. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.